In the year 2028, the world teetered on the edge of a technological revolution. Quantum computing, once a concept confined to the realms of theoretical physics, had become a reality. Governments and corporations raced to harness its potential, promising breakthroughs in everything from medicine to artificial intelligence. But with this new power came new dangers that could unravel the very fabric of society. The story begins with Dr. Amelia Hayes, a brilliant cryptographer working at the National Cybersecurity Agency, NCSA. Amelia was one of the few people in the world who truly understood the implications of quantum computing on cybersecurity. Traditional encryption, which had safeguarded global communications and financial transactions for decades, was now under threat. Quantum computers could crack these codes in seconds, rendering current security measures obsolete. Amelia had spent years researching quantum-resistant encryption, new algorithms that could withstand the brute force of a quantum computer. But progress was slow, and the world wasn't ready. She knew that it was only a matter of time before someone, somewhere, unleashed a quantum computer on the world's encrypted data. The consequences would be catastrophic. Financial markets would collapse, government secrets would be exposed, and the world's most sensitive data would be laid bare. One evening, as Amelia was leaving her office, her phone buzzed with an urgent message. It was from an old friend, a fellow cryptographer named Marcus Chen, who had disappeared from the public eye years ago. The message was brief: "I need your help. Quantum threat imminent. Trust no one. Location: Reykjavik." Amelia's heart raced. Marcus had always been a bit of a conspiracy theorist, but he was also a genius. If he was reaching out now, it meant something serious was happening. She quickly booked a flight to Iceland, knowing that she couldn't involve the NCSA. If Marcus was right, the threat might be closer to home than she realized. Upon arriving in Reykjavik, Amelia was met by a shadowy figure in a dark coat. It was Marcus, but he looked older, worn down by years of paranoia and isolation. He led her to a secluded cabin outside the city, where he had been living off the grid. Inside, the cabin was filled with computers, cables, and stacks of papers, evidence of Marcus's obsessive research. "Amelia," Marcus began, his voice shaky, "we don't have much time." "They're coming for us." "Who's coming?" Amelia asked, trying to stay calm. "Everyone," Marcus replied. "Governments, corporations, even rogue states. They're all after the same thing: the quantum key." Amelia frowned. "The quantum key?" Marcus nodded. "I've been working on a new encryption method, something that could protect data even against quantum attacks. But it's not just an algorithm. It's a quantum key, a physical device that generates truly unbreakable encryption. It's the only thing that can secure the world's data in the quantum era. And now, everyone knows about it." Amelia's mind raced. If Marcus had really developed such a key, it would be the most valuable piece of technology on the planet. But it would also make them the targets of every intelligence agency and cybercriminal network in the world. "How did they find out?" Amelia asked. "I made a mistake," Marcus admitted, looking down. "I thought I could test it on a small scale, but someone intercepted the signal. Now they're all after it." Amelia took a deep breath. "We need to secure the key and find a way to distribute it safely. If it falls into the wrong hands..." "I know," Marcus interrupted. "But there's another problem. The key isn't complete. It still needs one final component. A quantum entanglement device that can only be built with a specific type of crystal found in only one place on Earth." "Let me guess," Amelia said. "And that place is also crawling with people who want to kill us." Marcus nodded grimly. "It's in the Democratic Republic of Congo, in a region controlled by a powerful warlord who's known to have ties to international arms dealers and cyber terrorists." Amelia shook her head in disbelief. "Of course it is. This just keeps getting better." They spent the next few hours planning their mission. Amelia would return to the United States to secure funding and equipment, while Marcus would make arrangements to meet their contacts in the Congo. They knew they couldn't trust anyone else, not even their own governments. This was a mission they had to undertake alone. The next few days were a blur of preparation and subterfuge. Amelia used her connections at the NCSA to quietly acquire the necessary resources without raising suspicion. She also reached out to an old friend, Elena Vargas, a former CIA operative with experience in covert operations. Elena agreed to help, but warned Amelia that they were playing a dangerous game. Meanwhile, Marcus made contact with a local guide in the Congo who could help them navigate the treacherous terrain and negotiate with the warlord's men. The guide, a man named Kofi, was skeptical at first but agreed to assist when he learned what was at stake. With everything in place, Amelia, Marcus, and Elena flew to the Congo under false identities. The journey was fraught with danger. They had to avoid checkpoints, evade surveillance, and stay one step ahead of the various factions vying for control of the region. As they approached the mine where the crystal was located, they encountered resistance. The warlord's men were heavily armed and suspicious of outsiders. It took all of Elena's skills as a negotiator and a hefty bribe to gain access to the site. The mine itself was a labyrinth of tunnels and shafts, with the crystal located deep underground. Kofi led the way, but tensions were high. They knew that at any moment, they could be betrayed or ambushed. When they finally reached the chamber containing the crystal, Marcus began the delicate process of extracting it. Amelia and Elena stood guard, their nerves on edge. The air was thick with the smell of dust and damp earth, and every sound seemed amplified in the confined space. Just as Marcus secured the crystal, they heard footsteps approaching. A group of armed men appeared at the entrance to the chamber, guns drawn. They were not the warlord's men. These were mercenaries, likely hired by one of the many interested parties seeking the quantum key. Elena reacted instinctively, pulling Amelia behind cover and returning fire. The narrow confines of the tunnel turned the skirmish into a chaotic exchange of bullets and shouts. Marcus, clutching the crystal, ducked behind a rock as the firefight raged on. It was Kofi who turned the tide. Seizing an opportunity, he managed to flank the mercenaries, taking out two of them with precise shots. The remaining attackers, realizing they were outgunned and outmaneuvered, retreated into the darkness. Breathing heavily, Amelia, Elena, and Marcus quickly gathered their things and made their way out of the mine. There was no time to celebrate their victory. They knew that more enemies could be on their way. As they made their escape, Kofi led them to a hidden path through the jungle, away from the main roads. They moved quickly, the dense foliage providing cover as they navigated the treacherous terrain. The humidity was oppressive, and every step felt like a struggle, but they pressed on. After what felt like hours, they finally reached a clearing where a small helicopter was waiting, its rotors already spinning. Marcus had arranged for the extraction in advance, knowing they would need a quick getaway. As they boarded the helicopter, Amelia couldn't help but feel a surge of relief. They had the crystal, the final piece of the puzzle. But she knew their ordeal was far from over. The real challenge would be in completing the quantum key and ensuring it was used for the right purpose. The flight back to civilization was tense, but uneventful. They touched down at a remote airstrip, where a private jet was waiting to take them back to the United States. Amelia spent the flight reviewing their plans, knowing that the next few days would be critical. Once back in the States, they set up a makeshift lab in a safe house provided by Elena's contacts. Marcus worked tirelessly to integrate the crystal into the quantum key, while Amelia and Elena monitored communications for any signs that they had been compromised. As the days passed, the tension grew. They were constantly on edge, knowing that at any moment, their enemies could find them. But Marcus's determination never wavered. He was close, so close, to finishing the key. Finally, after days of work, Marcus held up the completed device. It was a small, unassuming object, no larger than a smartphone, but it represented the culmination of years of research and a harrowing journey. "We did it," Marcus said, his voice filled with a mixture of exhaustion and triumph. Amelia and Elena shared a look of relief, but they knew this was only the beginning. Now that the key was complete, they had to figure out how to use it to protect the world's data without letting it fall into the wrong hands. Their plan was simple, but risky. They would release the quantum key to the public, making it available to anyone who needed it. By doing so, they hoped to level the playing field, giving everyone access to quantum-resistant encryption and preventing any one entity from monopolizing the technology. But before they could implement their plan, disaster struck. Their location was compromised, and a team of black-clad operatives stormed the safe house. It was a coordinated attack, and they were heavily outnumbered. Amelia, Marcus, and Elena fought back, but it quickly became clear they were overwhelmed. Marcus, realizing the gravity of the situation, handed the quantum key to Amelia. "Take it and go," he urged. "You're the only one who can finish this, but what about you?" Amelia protested. "There's no time," Marcus shouted. "Go." Reluctantly, Amelia grabbed the key and fled through a hidden exit, Elena close behind her. They could hear the sounds of the battle behind them, but there was no time to look back. They ran through the narrow alleys, dodging bullets and evading capture. Eventually, they made it to a safe location, but their victory was bittersweet. Marcus had sacrificed himself to ensure the quantum key would survive. With a heavy heart, Amelia knew what she had to do. She contacted a trusted journalist, someone she knew would help her get the story out to the world. Together, they released the quantum key, along with the full story of its creation and the dangers it represented. The world reacted with shock and awe. The quantum key became a symbol of the new era of cybersecurity, a tool that could protect the world's data from even the most advanced threats. Governments, corporations, and individuals alike scrambled to adopt the technology, knowing it was the only way to safeguard their information in the quantum age. But the story didn't end there. The release of the quantum key triggered a global race to develop even more advanced encryption and security measures. The world had changed, and the battle for cybersecurity was far from over. As Amelia looked out at the city skyline from her new, undisclosed location, she knew that Marcus's sacrifice had not been in vain. The world was safer now, but she also knew that new challenges lay ahead. The quantum gamble had paid off, for now, but the future was uncertain. The story of the quantum key would become a legend in cybersecurity circles, a tale of innovation, sacrifice, and the never-ending struggle to protect the digital world from those who would seek to exploit it. Amelia was ready for whatever came next, knowing that as long as there were people like her and Marcus, the fight for cybersecurity would continue. In the end, it wasn't about winning or losing. It was about the ongoing battle to stay one step ahead in a world where the lines between technology and humanity were constantly being redrawn. And as long as that battle raged, there would always be a place for heroes like Amelia, guardians of the digital realm, fighting to keep the world safe in an age of ever-evolving threats.